Now, parallel structure is another form of grammar or another concept in grammar that people tend to not know about, and they have a hard time finding it. So when we talk about parallel structure, we're talking about lists in sentences and the continuity among the words in the list. And I always like to say, make the list matchy-matchy. That's the NAVA-Ed kind of way of doing things. So let's take a look at what parallel structure will look like. It's hard to explain it. I'm just going to show it to you, okay? So here's another one of those sentences where we are able to choose where the error is. So let's take a look. As we move forward with new employees, all right, I have as we move forward with new employees, that is a dependent clause, and I have a comma there. So it looks like B is good because if I'm going to do a dependent clause, I've got to have a comma after it. So that looks good. And new looks fine. New is just an adjective explaining what type of employees we have. So we're good there. Then we have the independent clause. We must be sure to train them properly, inspire them regularly, and ask them appropriate questions. All right, so we have the independent clause here. So again, the comma is good to go. Now let's take a look at C and D. We have train them properly. We have a verb, a then, them, and an adverb. Then we have inspire them regularly. Again, we have a verb, a them, a pronoun, and an adverb, regularly. LY tips off that it's an adverb, and the adverb is describing the verb inspire. So just remember that adverbs are used with verbs, adjectives are used with nouns. Real quick, new is an adjective, employee is a noun, new employees, that's fine. Adjective describes nouns. Regularly is describing inspire, which is a verb. So we want to make that an adverb. Just a quick side note. So anyways, let's go back to the list. Train them properly, inspire them regularly, and then we have this dangling off, and ask them appropriate questions. Do you see how D is not matchy-matchy to the other part of the sentence, the list in the sentence? What would be the proper way to do this would be to say, we must be sure to train them properly, inspire them regularly, and question them appropriately. Question, pardon my chicken scratch, them appropriately. Okay, period. Because then we would have the verb, question. I know question can also be a noun, like the question was hard on the exam, but here I'm saying I'm questioning you. So we would question them, the other pronoun, them, appropriately, adverb. So in this particular revision that I just did, we have verb, them, adverb, verb, them, adverb, and then verb, them, adverb. That is appropriate parallel structure. In this case, we would choose D as the issue because this right here is not parallel. All right, and I have another example here. More parallel structure. This is number 10 in your guide. She only understood 3 things about that time period: being hungry, grace, and acceptance. Well, let's take a look. The first thing I see is this colon here. So let's check and make sure that it's used properly, and then I can eliminate B. She only understood 3 things about that time period. That's an independent clause. She only understood 3 things about that time period. She is the noun, understood is the verb. And then we have being hungry, grace, and acceptance. Now this is the list over here. So it looks like the independent clause colon list is good. So B is out. We're not going to choose that. Okay. She only understood 3 things about that time period. Things about that time period does not stand out to me as anything a problem with that. So let's go to the list here. That means there's an error in D or C. Now, because grace is not underlined, we have to keep grace. And grace is a noun and acceptance is a noun. But being hungry is a verb. Being is a verb. So what we want to do is change this C to a noun. Well, that would be hunger. She only understood 3 things about that time period: hunger, noun, grace, noun, and acceptance, noun. In that case, it would be parallel. But because it's not parallel based on C, we're going to choose that as our incorrect answer.